Guys, welcome to the show, Balanced Ish. I'm here with a comedian friend of mine, Luke Fassetta.
Yes. One of the great up-and-comers in Florida.
Yeah.
Central Florida.
Yeah, and I mean, since the last time I did my own show, my own one of these, I have not done stand-up comedy. And so
really?
I have also started doing stand-up comedy, and I talked about it on my own podcast of starting it, and I have been doing it for the last 6 months.
Okay.
This is now
this is
my introduction for me, but not you now. What's happening?
I guess it'll be like, I'll be heralding a new chapter in your life, your stand-up comedian aspect or persona or something.
You were there, man. You were there. You were there.
First, or just at the genesis of this whole thing?
I mean, 6 months is kind of a genesis-ish.
Yes. Honestly, dude, a 6 month can be your starting window.
Right.
You know?
Right.
So how long have you been doing stand-up comedy for?
6 months.
Really?
No, October 27th, I did Side Splitters down in Wesley Chapel.
And that was your first open mic?
That was my first one.
Getting on stage?
Yeah.
Okay.
How it happened was I kept talking about it with people, and I said, I think I got 5 minutes. I got a bunch of stuff. I think I could put something together if somebody was like, hey, you're doing this in 2 weeks.
Okay.
And a friend of mine told me, hey, Side Splitters, you just email this person and you get on there.
Yeah.
And it was like a week out. And I was like, okay, yes, I'm going to do it. So I did it, and they said there was booked up, but they put me on the end of the month.
Okay.
And then that's when I did my first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And so, and it...
Dude, getting like an actual, feeling like you have 5 minutes you can take to stage is like an insane idea at the end of the day. Being like, I bet I could talk for 5 minutes with nobody else talking back to me, and I bet somebody might laugh at this even. That's like, I don't know.
It is like, I go back and forth of anybody could do this, or
yes.
No, I think only really weird people can do this. It's like this constant fight with it. I mean, there's normal comedians that, that's just a normal guy.
Sure.
I'm probably not in that.
I mean, I don't know, dude. I feel like if you somebody can look normal, but you scratch like just an inch below the surface, and it's probably like, oh, that's why he can like look normal, but it's like that's not. He cannot be characterized as normal.
Right.
I feel like that's more often the case than not. But that's probably more often the case than like if you talk to like your average like mail worker or postal, or like some dude who like builds, works on AC units. He's like. He probably seems like a pretty normal dude, but then you scratch the surface and like just as weird as a comedian. Like,
he's an AC guy because his dad was an AC guy and his grandfather was an AC. And if he didn't do that, he was getting beaten with like AC tools.
I mean, I guess.
This is what you do for the rest of this is you. And you're like, I don't want to. But it's like, and then it becomes his identity. And whenever somebody ever talks about either another AC company or the pool service, which is their huge rival, oh, man, then you start to see the flaring coming up, and then they're on pills and yada, yada. Family goes down. It's bad, dude.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Sometimes.
I've met like 7 of those guys.
You've watched people's like lives implode? Like,
it's pretty bad.
I don't know, dude. So, okay, because, you're what, 38, so you've seen some lives progress
sure.
9 years longer than I've seen. Like, I haven't, some of my friends are starting to like get children and stuff like that. But I haven't seen people's like lives like fully like, oh, they've been back to rehab 4 times now. Like, is it gonna stick eventually? I don't know.
So I won't talk. I
haven't gotten the pleasure of
too much about
too much spiraling just yet.
Oh man, I got 2 things going through my brain right now. But one of them, my brother was an alcoholic and anger problems like his whole life.
Oh, okay.
But now he's 8 years sober.
Okay.
And never thought that was going to happen.
Turned it all around.
It was pretty cool. Like 10 years ago, me and my dad go down to South Florida for a golf tournament.
Okay.
And he meets us down there riding on a bike, and his body is falling apart. Okay. He hits golf balls with us, and like his knee pops out of place.
And he just looks like he's just like been destroyed by alcohol for 8 months straight or something. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And it was really bad. But then I think it was like a year or so after that, he came up on his own accord and said, I'm going to get better. And he started his recovery process. And now I think he's, 8 years. 8 years. He started his, he's always done flooring, but he kind of did like his own flooring. And then he had like 4 cars at one point. Okay. He started collecting cars. He just got married like a few months ago. His whole life.
Family members change like that.
It is.
I don't know.
It was crazy. It's really cool. Huh. It is really, and I mean, he always was like the person of like, I know people make fun of me for being the dunce of the family or the screw up, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But then when he really got better, it's a cool thing to see.
That's cool.
I might have shed a tear at his wedding, but whatever.
That's fair, dude. You're allowed to cry at your. Dude, this has probably been like a change I've gone through the past like 4 or 5 years or so. Mm-hmm. But people got to get over crying in general. Like the whole like
Here-
push to be like, oh my God, I only cried at my brother's wedding and like that's it. It's like, dude, you probably should cry more. Like you're kind of
Here's the thing though.
Stop. Being silly.
I'm going to throw a statistic out. I don't know exactly what the numbers are, but it's higher than 50%. When women see you cry, they like to see you cry. They like to see the emotion.
Okay.
But they do lose respect for you. You lose a little bit of respect
I've heard
for you.
some of these arguments before.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not an argument.
I actually heard.
I don't know what to
recently-
do. I'm a crybaby, so I'm like trying to bury it and get cancer later on. I guess.
I mean, it can happen, dude. It could really happen. But dude, I actually heard recently.
Sounds like a relief.
A rebuttal to the whole like, yes, just one day my body just absolutely failing on me. Isn't that the dream? Isn't that
Yeah.
No, but I heard a rebuttal to the whole like bear man. Who do you want to see in the woods? A bear versus a
Okay.
man.
Yeah. Thanks for
And
keeping
it was-
this a hot topic
it was-
on there right
yes.
now. That's good. I like it.
Who would you rather share your feelings to? A woman or a tree?
I saw that.
And I was like, okay. I mean,
If it satisfies me to tell it to a tree, 100% the
Yes,
tree.
yes,
Because no one needs to
yes.
hear this garbage.
yeah. And it's also like, I saw something and it was like, I told a woman like how I felt after my friend died in a drunk driving accident, and I cried in front of her. And then it's like 6 weeks later, she broke up with me. And then some woman commented, and it was like, it definitely wasn't that. And then somebody was like, oh, you're immediately invalidating what this guy said, like based on your prejudices about this, the whole situation.
You don't know.
It's like you're literally like, it's hitting you in the face. Like it's
Yeah.
hitting you in the face as
Yeah.
hard as it can, and you're not
Yeah.
seeing it. So that made me
No, that's
laugh.
have you seen, there's the videos online of where like girls will say, here's my ick or whatever, like, oh my gosh,
sure.
this, and like it's like one time it's a guy like swimming and he's like snorkeling and he's like swimming and enjoying
Just
himself,
swimming.
but his feet are going crazy and,
Oh.
and she's like, that's my new ick, and then the guy's like
Dude,
he
I
does a
mean-
little notepad full of like hundreds of
Yeah.
icks which are like really dumb, and
Yeah.
and it's like, all right, don't swim and
Add
survive.
this to the list.
Yeah.
Add this to I mean, I was trying to get the other 470. I guess I'll add 471 here.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I don't think icks are like real. I'm more of like, there's not like soulmates. I think it's more like kind of like induced fit between two people.
Yeah.
Like I think you can have like very obvious like incompatibilities.
Yeah.
That makes sense. But I mean, obviously it would be insane just from a rational like statistical perspective, excuse me, to just be like, yeah, you're only going to find one soulmate person.
Yeah, no,
I
no.
think it's more like
I hope
we
not,
have
because I'm
communication
divorced.
skills. Sure. But also just like we have the communication skills
Right.
enough to like lay a foundation, talk about issues as they come up, like. And I think like one person could like carry the relationship a little bit and be like, I am so agreeable, it's like
Sure.
that I'm like O-type blood where I'm more, or like this person's AB.
I could be with roughly
where it's
anybody.
like,
yeah. You have some hot-headed people, and you're like, they're going to never get married. But the thing is, they marry another crazy hot-headed person.
Yes.
You're like,
or like a docile person that like
balances them off.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that with a few people that I know where it's like their wife is kind of crazy,
Yeah.
and they're just like calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah.
And they like that. I've also seen it
so-
where they're both kind of crazy, and it keeps things spicy.
I mean, you can have different kinds of relationships too. It's
Yeah.
not like a spicy person needs to be in a spicy relationship with another spicy person. Like
Right.
that's just
somebody's got to be
Dude,
the milk.
This is something I've been trying to push
can't all be
my
ghost
wife
pepper.
towards more.
Uh-huh.
She always hits me with like, "Oh, I have this kind
She hits
of
you.
connective tissue disorder,"
Okay.
and I'm like, "You've type C connective tissue
know
disorder,
what is
whatever."
that.
I don't know. She'll just like tell me she's got some kind of. I mean, she's a a med student right now.
Okay.
So she's always like trying to diagnose
Overdiagnosing
her.
herself?
And it's like, "Oh, I have
Yeah.
this kind of and I'm like. I think we should, at the very least, with like something like connective tissue disorder or something like that. I think we need to move to like type.
What
form,
is one
rather
of her
than,
bones like
disorder.
just like arms just like dangling
No,
because
dude,
there's
okay.
no connective
No.
tissue? Like what are we
So,
talking
like,
about? Like
I mean, if
aches
we're
and
gonna get
pains?
into like the technicalities of it, I guess you got like collagen and stuff like that, and like your bones
Uh-huh,
and your joints
right,
and stuff
yeah.
like that. And there's a lot of people that will just like not
fine.
have enough connective tissue like in between their bones and their
Okay.
joints. I'm obviously butchering this, but as best as I can understand it.
So does that create aches and joint pain?
Yeah, or just like stuff will wear down faster than a normal person's would, or like you
Okay.
have hyperflexibility in certain joints, which like makes you more susceptible to certain
Got
injuries.
it. Got it.
There's just like a bunch of different random stuff like that. But I was like, dude, I don't. It like gets in my own head hearing it. Maybe it's just that whole thing. But I'm like, why do we keep calling it disorders? Why can't it just be like this is this kind of type form, or
Yeah.
or some other kind of word? maybe I'm just being a little bitch about like disorder being like a loaded word.
Right.
But it's like, dude, she always comes to me like a new one. Like, I have this disorder. And I'm like, you're not really disordered. Like, it's fine. I'm sure you could come up with like 50 disorders every person has.
Take 2 ibuprofen and shut your mouth. I'm just joking. No.
It's all in your head. Why are you even letting this freaking change the way you look at the world? Chill out.
The reality is, like, there's real things, and a lot of times I feel like the full extent of... Okay, my dog's going outside. There's a lot of real things, but I never see people get, like, full-on healed from stuff because maybe everybody kind of like half-asses like, oh, I'm going to kind of fix it, like maybe my
for a lot of things, it's just not like there's not a cure.
That's true too.
You know, it's like we can just treat your disorder, or we can just treat your condition.
Yeah,
you know. But I mean, dude, yeah, I get scared, and I've been scared my whole life of like really taking medications. Like I've tried to push back against taking medications just at large.
You're right,
because I've always been worried about like getting on a medication that I can't ever get off. Like, the idea of that, for some reason, like, makes me uncomfortable.
That's why I get worried about antidepressants.
Sure.
You know,
I mean, antidepressants,
like
of course, is a classic
thing. There's
cholesterol medication.
There's the line, right? There are people that have a real big chemical imbalance that, hey, they should be on this. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm not, like, fully against medicine. But, you know, then at the same time... I get headaches like every 2 days. Here's some antidepressants.
Okay,
it's like,
yeah.
And then
there's also like, I'm fine if people want to take antidepressants. That's fine.
Right.
I don't.
Sure.
Can I not want that? Like,
right.
Is it fine? Like, I get it. Like, okay, maybe I've, it's been warranted at some point in my life to take an antidepressant or some kind of like terminal medication. But it's like, well, what if I just like don't wanna and I like would rather just try something else.
Yeah,
you know, I don't know why. The idea
working
of like
out, eating better,
you
know, that isn't the same thing as taking an antidepressant. I have a friend of mine that goes on and off. You know, he's like, "Hey guys,"
on and off their antidepressants.
Yeah, he's like, "Hey guys, I'm going to try and get off." I'm like, "All right, cool." But he works out all the time. He eats relatively pretty good, and he's around community. Those are all like the tips for like, all right, if you're depressed and you're
there is a playbook.
There's the things
to like not be on antidepressants, but like sometimes people need to push
he's also
over.
just built different.
Sure.
I mean, I don't want to mock him too much, but like, I mean, some of us guys.
I don't know this guy,
and that's true.
Is he gonna watch this?
No, I doubt it. But like, it's so funny. Like, us as a group of guys, friends and stuff, we would talk to him, and like, he'll like wake up in the morning before he's going to work 4:30, and just be like, "You piece of shit." Like, that's what he tells himself in the mirror. I'm like, "Hey, dude. Step one, stop doing that.
Jesus,
don't tell yourself that." But you know, so I think part of it he's joking. The other part of it, like, no,
dude, okay, it's
he doesn't
weird.
think highly of himself.
And I had this thought recently. It's probably not the best. There was this PGA golfer that just committed suicide recently. This guy named Grayson Murray.
Okay.
And it's like, dude, he's on the PGA Tour. You know, obviously there was a lot of personal stuff going on. I believe that's been confirmed.
Right.
But I kind of like, I joke with my wife. I was like, if you ever tried to like see it from their perspective a little bit. Like, I've thought, like, well, what if it's just, he decided it wasn't for him? Like, what if, like, human life...
living wasn't for him?
He was like, hey, man, I've done the calculations. If I'm going to be 80, I'm going to have to endure, like, a horrendous amount of hardship, a horrendous amount of suffering. And, like, what if I'm not super confident that it's for me? You know what? But at the same time, if you start saying that, you're just like, dude, you're kind of rationalizing this guy's suicide. Or like, take it. You know, it's very hard to not sound suicidal yourself or something when you're saying.
But when you assume things that far ahead, there are things that are going to surprise you, and that probably most likely won't be correct by the time you're 80. So
true.
If that's your opinion, like this is what's going to happen. Like,
I guess maybe that's
what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It could. Yeah. I see where you're maybe going, but we also get caught off guard and surprised very often how things don't normally go as planned. That's what worrying is. Like worrying, what was it, like 90% of the things we worry about don't even come true or something like that? It's some high thing up there.
Yeah, you just are imagining scenarios.
Right.
All day,
or it's nowhere near as bad as what we thought it was going to be.
Yes.
You know, after everything happened. Yeah. But no, that's crazy. So I'm guessing he was probably suffering with depression. I don't know the story.
Like, his like fiance left him and he moved out, and it was like, you know, a bunch of crazy stuff that happened. Yeah. I mean, I have a hard time like judging what I call like the man in the arena. You know, it's like I don't know what was going on.
And also being on tour, like whenever you're
you are in the traveling highest pressure situation. You
when not even just that, like you're alone.
Yes.
Like you are alone a lot of the time.
And
people that travel and go on tour,
I'm trying to live my dream as hard as I can, and I'm scared.
Hotel, go practice. hotel. You know what I mean? Every weekend, you know what I mean? Sometimes these guys will get there Monday if they're pros, but they're not any of the top guys. They'll get there Monday and start practicing.
Yeah.
Then they start their
slots and everything.
They don't get anything until Thursday is when the tournament starts, and then they play Thursday through Sunday, and if they make the cut Saturday. So like your week is tied up, and you're basically alone. You're either practicing, you know, and that they do play. A lot of the guys at night will like play like Call of Duty. That's actually supposed like a big thing. Again, people on tour and stuff. They'll like group of guys have whatever kind of video games they're into. They'll all kind of play together.
I'm sure you got to do something to keep yourself sane.
Yes, exactly, like that, exactly. You know, I mean, comics.
Sure.
Either starting off and starting to travel a little bit to the guys all the way up at the top. It can be pretty lonely.
Well, I mean, dude, here's the other thing. Like, it sounds like you could name 100 different situations and 100 different occupations where it's like, hey, man, it's hard as shit. You're there.
That's true.
By the way,
we're trying to become comics.
Cool, yeah, sure. But I'm just saying, like, oh yeah, dude, if you want to get into real estate, you might just have total months where you're like, I haven't sold anything, and I might have to like sell my own house. You know,
right.
Or it's like, oh yeah, dude, if you're trying to get into freaking app development. It's like there's a sea of apps that people are building every day, and yours is going to get lost in the clutter.
Right. You really think you're going to make it?
The wheel
if you think you can go and just
what's easy?
You can start a podcast. Why even do a podcast?
Yes.
Like you think amongst the sea of all the this is going to get chosen?
Yes. I'm trying to think, dude. Can you name me like 3 ways to live a human life that's satisfying, that are easy?
Well, anything easy isn't really. That's not the reward. If something's
Wasn't
easy,
that kind of disappointing and crappy? Where you're like, oh, nothing's easy.
Well,
all of it's
you play
hard.
video games. If you play, like shooter hack and slash games that are super easy, and you're like, and you're done.
It's trivial. Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, okay, that was okay. But then whenever you're playing like really hard games, and then you freaking sweated, and you've been on one level for 8 hours, and then you finally beat it, and then you get then eventually, whenever you beat the game, you're like, that was an accomplishment.
Dude, okay.
I beat Ninja Gaiden, so
I'm put that on your resume. For sure.
1 and 2 on Xbox.
Okay,
360,
well, so I was telling you before I got when I got
Ninja
here,
Gaiden?
I was playing Dark Souls 2.
Right.
And the reason was when I was like a freshman in college is when that game came out, and I played it for like 80 hours when I was a freshman. Yeah.
Did you finally beat it after 8 hours?
No, dude, I didn't beat it. The game is so hard. I never beat it, and so I'm playing it again now.
That's my Final Fantasy VII.
Okay, that's fine.
That was nowhere near as hard. But I thought I was stuck in one place and I had to beat all these
Were you like a little kid though, or like were you a grown
Yeah, I was
adult?
in like 8th grade.
Okay.
Yeah, 7th, 8th grade.
Well, dude, I got to be honest, man. I'm going back and like playing this game again.
Yeah.
I think I might have had a learning disability or something. Like genuinely, like I'm playing this game
really easy.
Yeah, and I'm like, why did I think this was so hard? Like I really might have just. I'm like rethinking it now. I'm like, dude, freshmen in college might just have like learning.
Hold on, I think
relatively speaking, like I really felt like I was uncomfortable with
it could be true, right? But I think probably the case that's actually happening is the fact that somebody told you a riddle. What's this game? Then once they told you the answer, you're like, oh. I'm an idiot for not knowing that. So now that you've gone back and you've already known, you know, a lot of that. Why was it so hard in the beginning?
I have put in a lot of time in like Elden Ring and stuff like that.
Right.
So for sure, it's a lot related to that. But at the same time, it's also like this guy had 3 moves. I didn't realize he had only 3 moves. Wait a minute. I genuinely got kind of embarrassed. I'm like, I wish I was like just drunk as hell the whole time I was playing this. Like that's the only way I could be like excusable.
That actually sounds like a really good time.
You know, like if I was like a freshman in college or something, I don't know.
Stream that on Twitch.
Something.
You might get people wanting to watch that.
Yes. Yeah. But it kind of made me uncomfortable and embarrassed that I was like, wow, it was one of those like I got kicked in the face like, and it kind of feels good that I feel like I'm smarter than my 19, 20-year-old self or whatever.
I got to tell my son that.
But also like, geez, dude, I thought I knew what was going on a little bit at 19 or 20. Like, I wonder if in 10 years from now, I like crap my pants at how stupid I was at 29. Like I sat down with this guy one time and I was just in his house and his children were just like in the other room and we pretended they couldn't hear everything we were saying and we just had this weird podcast, like, and I'm like, that was an insane maneuver.
That's right now.
That's what I thought was a good idea to do in the middle of the afternoon. It's like, what is this, a Wednesday or a Tuesday evening?
But wisdom would tell you that you will not know everything now that you'll know in the future, and that's okay.
I kind of don't want to know it all. It's a little bit more fun to just kind of stumble.
Well,
bro.
you don't know it all. The thing is, it's when the more you know, you realize there's more questions.
It brings me comfort to not know it all.
You don't have to.
It brings me comfort.
You don't have to.
I like it. It makes me happy.
Yeah.
Anyway, so you started on comedy.
Yeah.
And it seems like you enjoyed yourself. I got to be honest, dude. That you at the Mutiny last night.
Yeah.
I have never seen a live comedian as free on stage in my entire life. I'm not saying I've seen hours and hours. You know, I'm not.
I've been working on that.
But there was like an air of like you literally were just like,
"What are we doing?
What do you guys want to talk about?
Yeah,
I'm about to tell you something that you want to hear."
Yeah,
and it genuinely was like I believed you. We believed you. I'm gonna speak for the audience for a second. There's another cat in your backyard. But we really believed that you thought what you were saying was interesting, and so like I bought it.
Okay,
I completely bought it.
I gotta be honest with you. Am I blushing right now? Because that actually feels really.
Right, well.
No, that I did a show May 4th, and I got.
I'm not saying what you were saying was interesting.
No, I know.
You for sure believed it was interesting, but we bought it.
I mean, that is confident. Like just
yeah.
That's one of the things I think you see in the difference between people that are new with great material,
yes,
compared to experienced people, where it's like, okay, that guy's material was good, and or even just maybe just a little bit better because a little more polished,
whatever, sure,
but not much. But what's the difference between him and that guy?
Yeah.
You know, the new guy and that guy. Oh, there's just a. And there's like a confidence that's there, and I'm trying to practice that.
But it's like this confidence is kind of just this like weird kind of intangible thing that I don't like. Well, okay, so here's my issue. I think the most important thing for a stand-up comedian is to not be delusional.
Correct.
And once you got that down,
that's why the show's called Balanced-ish.
Sure.
You want to be balanced.
Sure. Sure.
I just try to do a little plug.
But I'm taking this over today. Sorry. Sure. We'll call it balanced.
I don't hate it. I don't hate it.
Yeah, what I'm saying
we'll call it balanced. You're renaming it.
We'll call it balanced-ish for the day, and we'll figure something out in the future. No, what I'm saying is is you need to have confidence, but like you can't have delusional confidence. And it's like, how do you build non-delusional? Like, could you imagine like if you show up to an open mic and you've been doing open mic for like 5 months or 6 months or whatever, and you're like, I just wrote this new joke and I know it's gonna kill. You're delusional. That's the definition of. Like, You shouldn't be able to even achieve those levels of confidence.
I think you get that when guys get up there and be like, "I wrote this joke. This was funny, and you guys didn't laugh."
You guys
that. No, that I.
But it's like that's what I'm saying. Is like that's
start with
delusional
myself.
Confidence. That's like you shouldn't. There's no way you should ever have that. You shouldn't be able to achieve that level of like self assurance.
Right.
Whereas like, but you need it to do well, which is the weird part.
Somewhat.
So it's like you almost need to have just. You know, a year or two under your belt of like
you're funny, you've done good, and yes, sometimes you've done bad.
And I'm not delusional about my confidence.
Right.
Even.
I think whenever I get down and get like unmotivated and whatnot, because just
a variety of reasons.
Yeah, for a variety of reasons, or just like, man, I don't know, is this even like something to keep going, and all these kind of things. I try and trick myself to think about the positive stuff. Like, no, hey, you are a naturally funny person. You're accomplishing and going and doing something that everybody talks about doing and they never do it.
Dude, that was
at least
the craziest
try.
Thing.
Keep going.
Yeah. The first time I like started doing open mics, I remember like telling people about it.
Yeah.
And like I was just doing it for fun at the time, and they would genuinely be like, "Whoa, what the hell?" And I'm like, "Wait a minute, you guys, there's some kind of misunderstanding here. You guys should not think this is cool or like." A confident thing I did, a courageous thing I did. Like, you guys got to come check this out first. You give me too many props. It made me laugh.
I would disagree a little bit on that.
I guess, but like once you go to an open mic and you see how horrible,
I know how just shellac they're put together. Here's a used paper napkin that here write your name on this.
Yes.
Yeah. But no, I mean that's not true. I mean they actually have some really good organizations that or people that are organized here.
Yeah.
But. It is true and it isn't true at the same time because it is an accomplishment to go and do this.
Yes.
Most people don't want to do this. And it is very easy for us to think that, like, this is not a big deal. I literally told the girl last night. She was like, I think I want to be a comic, but women aren't funny. Nobody thinks women are. I'm like, women are funny. Yeah. They are. Some of my favorite comedians are women.
Yeah.
She's seen them, but, like, I'm like, if you're really serious... come up with 5 minutes and just try.
Yeah.
You know,
or even 2 minutes and then just
right.
eat it for
yeah,
3
if you're
minutes.
new, if you're new, they'll you can do 3 minutes.
Dude, yeah. Or you can just say like, this is my first time. I'm gonna stumble through these 2 minutes of jokes I wrote, and then we're gonna see what happens. And you're gonna do fine.
Right.
And if like you can at least do that and survive that, I mean that's as much as you could possibly ask.
When I did my first set, I had my set was roughly, they gave me 5 minutes of time. I had about 4 minutes and 45 seconds, 4 minutes, 30 seconds, roughly.
Wow. Full on material, you had like ready to go.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, because it was my first time, you get up there, the nerves are going. You don't know how to play the crowd.
Yes.
And I did it in 3 minutes and 19 seconds. Yes. Actually, the video was 3 minutes and 19 seconds. So the introduction of me getting up there,
so you're talking for like
I ran full of fast, really fast. I mean, I got some laughs, but it wasn't as polished or in playing with the audience and like feeling the vibe from them. Like that was, it was okay.
It was your first time?
That was my first time.
Well,
at Side Splitters, one of my biggest crowds still, I think.
Oh, nice.
Well, that's fun. I don't know. I think there's like maybe 70 people or something.
Yeah.
My dog's wanting to go outside. Hey, there's cats out there. No, go back. No.
Yeah, dude, you're going to get cut up again.
Yeah.
Already bleeding.
He is already
back
bleeding.
out, dude.
Go.
What an animal. What an absolute warrior.
He's like, get me back out there.
What?
Yeah. So how was your first time?
Okay, so I don't really know. So I've been doing comedy for like 10 months, I say officially.
Okay.
But my first time getting on stage was March 11th of 2020.
Okay.
So like we were making COVID jokes a little bit. There was like some bleach wipes on stage or whatever, but it like wasn't serious. There was no lockdowns. But it was
it's Florida. Lockdown was on a Tuesday.
Oh no, this was in Dallas actually.
Oh, lockdown there was just on a Monday.
Texas.
Monday.
Yes.
Monday.
Yes. But yeah, so it was at the Dallas Comedy House. I was living in Dallas at the time for school, or I don't know, maybe my wife was in school. I don't know.
Right.
I don't remember. Anyway, the Dallas Comedy House is no more. It was murdered by COVID.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I went there, and then it was the last night they were open, and then it never opened again.
You did it. You shut it down.
Shut them
you
down.
shut the house down.
It was so bad, I freaking closed the facilities. Yeah.
Freaking white people, man.
I genuinely was like maybe like 23 out of like 30. Like pretty deep in the lineup.
Right.
So I had a couple of beers in me. I was feeling good. I mean, I did some jokes that were, I don't know.
Any that you still use? Or rendition of them?
Think so.
Okay.
I have some that I have like toyed with. I don't know. There's some jokes that are still kind of like on the back burner.
Yeah.
But they're just, I don't know. They're not my favorite jokes, so like I don't really tell them. I pretty much only like, I feel like I only have time to tell the jokes that are my favorite jokes right now, where I'm like, I don't get enough
that's
stage time
good.
like,
no,
really
that I mean, you're giving
deep.
everybody basically the best.
Well, I don't know if I want to say the best. I would say these are my favorite jokes that I think could be good one day, and these are the ones that I'm like, oh, these have potential and I could work.
Yeah.
On, as far as favorite goes.
We all have. I have the same. I have a notes full on my phone of all these kind of ideas and stuff. They're there, and then there's like here's ones that I'll bring in and out, and then it's like if I ever had to make a 5-minute set to a 10-minute set to a 20-minute set, then I'm pulling from everything and kind of having to create everything and make all that happen. But it's what is your process for writing?
I guess for the most part, like my ideal process is like something, I'm going throughout my day, pretty normal stuff, or I'm talking to somebody and like something funny happens or some kind of funny thought comes to my mind, and I get to like, oh, here's a situation. I get to write it down, put it in my phone, and save it for later.
Yeah.
And then I go through the extreme.
Now, when you put it in your phone, what does that mean? Full on writing out everything, or like a bullet point? Or
it's probably going to be like at most 2 sentences. Pretty much just something that I can like refer back to and like get myself in the same kind of like mind state and be like, why did I think this was funny? Or like, what could possibly be even funny?
I'm roughly the same way.
And then from there, it's the hardest part to me is like taking something that was funny in like a weird environment or like in a conversation. Because like a huge thing to me is like stand-up. It's really easy to be funny in a conversation. It's so easy. Yeah. You can, you're playing off of something somebody said. Maybe they said something wrong and you can just like say something silly.
Right.
Or like you can make a reference that somebody said 10 minutes ago. It's so much easier.
Right.
Stand-up is like isolated. I have to give you all of the information and you don't get to ask me any questions, and I can't make a joke about like a question you ask. Like it doesn't make any sense to me for a large part. And so like really translating what do I think is funny about this, and what's the most efficient way I can like communicate this to people on stage where they also think this is funny.
Yeah,
maybe even do it
the
in, like, a
editing
nice way.
process is I feel like one of the hardest parts of like I need to establish this story, but at the same time, I need to get to it quick to where it still seems natural, and hopefully it has a punchline, or maybe there's somewhat of punchlines along the way.
Dude, yeah, what's the payoff? I
Yeah.
have a hard time, like, is this even worth the payoff? Am I
Yeah.
really going to spend, like, 2 minutes setting this joke up, and, like, my payoff is kind of just, like,
Meh.
it's all right.
Yeah.
But I really want...
That's how I feel
shows-
like my stories were last night. They were
Okay.
just stories. I mean, these were not like...
Yeah.
They-
But, I mean, dude, they seem like you at least, like, landed somewhere, which was the most
Sure.
impressive part. Like, I feel like I get up on stage, and if I'm doing something kind of more impromptu, I'll, like, literally just...
Come inside. Go to the door.
I'll just kind of like get the plane off the ground and then just be like looking around, circling for a while. Like, I don't know where I'm landing this. I don't know
Right.
where to put this down. Should I even keep flying? Like, maybe I got to keep going. Maybe I'm just across open water and I'll find a landing spot in a little while. But I have the impromptu, the improvisation stuff. I really struggle like finding a landing point.
I mean, I bank on the fact that I think I'm just kind of a weird, funny guy.
Okay.
And I'm awkward.
Okay.
So whenever and I surprisingly actually kind of present as like a lack of confidence person, and I think people just have pity on me.
Okay.
They're like, "Oh, poor
Okay.
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 Here's
Okay.
something that he's talking about."
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
We'll give him- we'll give him a bit. Very nice for that guy.
Look
Yeah.
at that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's like my nature is like that. Like, I don't want to make people uncomfortable. Blah, blah, blah. And like whatever. I'm kind of wishy washy. I feel like, and so I realize like, okay, I'm kind of quirky.
Okay.
Just trust myself. Like I need to just trust that.
Okay.
Like if not everybody will think I'm funny. That's what happened. Oh my gosh, dude, I go and do this show on May 4th. I hit my punchlines. They were okay. I could definitely tell I didn't really feel the crowd. So I wanted to actually now from there, like not rehearse as much and just feel the crowd out and just get into my bits.
Okay.
After those shows, the few shows I did after that. But there was a guy that came up to me afterwards and he was like, "Hey man, we all don't have good nights. I get it, dude." Like he's like talking down and I'm like,
Jeez, man.
I'm like,
I'm sorry, sir. I didn't realize I wasn't up to your standard.
My
bad.
I'm like, but here's the thing. Like I knew that the other guys held the stage better.
Okay.
I knew that was a thing.
Sure.
Like that was, but even I had a few friends of mine that were there and they were like, I mean, you were funnier than like for sure at least one that guy, and that guy. There was like
Sure.
six. It's like, all right, I don't really like to do the comparison thing, but that guy that came up to me
Yeah.
and told me, "Hey, so you bombed tonight. I mean, it happens, man.
Yeah.
Just get it back out." I'm like, I didn't think it was a total
Yeah,
bomb.
dude,
I
like,
hit a
where are
punch.
you at, bro? You
I
got
got,
stage.
I got a
Yeah,
couple
what you got?
laughs.
Yeah.
I mean, that was.
Yeah, it's like
It wasn't
bomb is harsh. man.
I've
Come
done
on.
worse.
Yeah.
And I've done much better.
Okay.
But it wasn't.
Dude, yeah, having an average night kind of hits different sometimes. Where you're
Yeah,
like,
that's like I don't know what I even
tell me
take
it was
from that.
bad. Don't even tell me it was good.
Just
tell
let me
it
go
was
to bed.
whatever, man.
Just let me go to bed
Yeah.
and move on.
Yeah.
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 And so I don't know. I mean, but I did after he told me that, and then even the few guys talked to me. Like then I kind of try to take the idea of like, all right, how do I feel more present and own the stage in the room?
Okay.
And not even do it. It's not doing crowd work. It's not doing your bits. What does that mean? I don't know. Just being like people just feel like, oh, I'm here. They're not like. He's just getting up and just doing like a show for us. Like I'm
Yeah,
kind of having a
running through the
more,
motions.
Yeah,
It's
maybe
more
more or
like-
less it feels like a
yeah.
conversation, but it's not.
Sure.
It's this weird balance to people to figure out, but I'm trying to figure it out. So the fact that you said last night, you were like, dude, you just looked very comfortable and
Yeah.
just like, what are we doing up
Yeah,
here, guys? What
yeah.
are we talking about? I was like, that's the idea.
Dude, I was genuinely inspired. Like I was like, I'm gonna have to follow this, and I don't know exactly what I'm going to do necessarily just yet because I pretty much did exactly like written bits and
Yeah.
with very little in
Which I did
between.
too. I did some in there.
Sure,
that was
sure,
written
sure.
bits.
But I mean, dude, I think you went probably like twice as long as I went.
15
I did
minutes.
Like 11. You did 15?
I did 15.
Okay, I did like
Yeah.
11. Never
Yeah,
mind.
yeah, yeah.
I thought you did like 20.
It's still much longer. Yeah,
22 or something for
no.
some reason. I thought you were up there for like 22. I was like, dude, I told Forrest because Forrest came back and was like chatting with me while you're still up there. And I was like, just let him go. Just let him keep going. And that's when he walked outside to take a smoke break. And then he heard you.
Yeah,
wrapping up.
yeah. I mean, I could have said there was actually one more story about like me getting really high, that I got accidentally like not overdosed, but it was way more than I thought I was doing.
All right.
And there's a really fun story with that. I'll save that for stage.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
I want to wrap up. I want to make sure that we got everything covered. What are your plans for the future? So we know about how you're a little bit of your writing process.
Oh, sure.
What are your plans a little bit for the future? Now that you're doing comedy.
Well, okay, yeah. So my wife and I are really in Florida for like another year.
Okay.
We might continue to be in Florida after that, but for sure, at least for another year. But we probably will not be in Florida.
Where are you going to go?
After these next 12 months.
Austin, Texas.
I don't know. It's really, dude. I follow this woman. You know, she's in med school, so it's like.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so
like where she's going
right.
to residency,
Yeah.
I'm following where she's going to residency.
Right.
You know, like maybe, dude, if I'm doing crazy arenas at the time, it'll justify me being apart from my wife. But I'm really,
as much as I want to encourage you,
No.
I felt like the most push to like, hey, man.
I will be doing my goal and my expectation. I like to set high expectations.
Okay.
I will be doing arenas within 12 months.
Arenas?
If that doesn't happen.
You know, like there's only a few people that do it,
and you don't even know what their names are.
Right?
Dude.
You could be called.
I don't.
You could be called to like, hey, open for somebody, which that means you did an arena. That's a thing
No,
that
dude,
happens.
I was actually joking with my brother earlier. Like, what would be my dream situation? My dream situation would be
your dream situation.
I find a beautiful pair of coattails that I can just strap myself to. Like somebody good who's really like willing to put in the work. Like has a great work ethic,
right.
you know.
And you are.
And I can just hitch my wagon.
You
to
are
that.
just good enough, but not much
They're
better.
promoting everything.
Yeah.
And they're cool with me featuring or cool with me middling. You know?
Right.
And I get to tour around and I get to tell funny jokes.
Yeah.
And I get to, you know, okay. And because the other thing I was telling my wife was like, here's a weird concept I told her. And I don't know if we're fully wrapping down, but we can keep going.
No, we can keep going. Whatever. I
I
just want to make sure.
I told her that I only, and it's a complex statement. I don't, not too complex.
It's
I
fine.
don't
I
said I only want to be known for commercial reasons. Okay. Now I would like to break this down for a second.
Is your name Subway?
I mean, no. Okay, but here's.
This is the whitest thing I've ever heard.
No. What are you talking about, dude? What are you talking about? What I'm saying is I don't have any interest. Like,
getting offended.
I don't know if I'm offended. I just feel like I'm being. What I'm saying is like, what else? I mean, do you want to be famous for being famous' sake, or be known, or like, because like I just don't feel like being known and people knowing, like having more Facebook followers,
yeah,
or whatever,
yeah,
you know, more clicks, my video going viral, dude. I was talking to some comedian who's like
just
a small
emptiness
time
in
dude.
that.
Yeah, well, not even emptiness, but it's like, what does that gain you?
Right, that's what I mean. Like, to some degree.
It's only for commercial reasons. Like
Yeah.
so, like in a certain sense, in essence, I would only ever want to be known to make money off of it. But it's like
right.
So like I only want to be known for commercial reasons.
Yeah.
If the commercial like ventures or whatever are helping me write like better jokes and make be a better comedian. I mean, to a certain extent, dude, I just want to write good jokes. And tell jokes. Yeah. My ideal situation is people like plagiarizing my material. It's so good, like. If I had to pick, it would be like you.
I hope one of my jokes gets stolen.
Well, dude, okay. There is a part of me that like people always talk about like developing your voice on stage.
Mm-hmm.
I like that, but I also like it when like my sister-in-law has like told one of my jokes back to me, and I was like, damn, that was awesome.
Felt good.
Or like my brother will tell me like, oh yeah, dude, I told one of your jokes to like one of my cop buddies, and he laughed.
That's fun.
And I was like,
that's awesome.
Fuck yes, dude. That's what I'm here for.
That's Eddie Murphy Raw in the 90s or 80s, right? Where people are like, oh, and then they would say that at work. They would tell you the jokes. And you were one of them. You did it.
Dude, yeah.
To be honest with you, that's pretty high up there.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Not in like a pious way, but it's just like that. Those are the kind of jokes I enjoy.
Yeah.
So it's like I want to make what I like, to a certain extent. So it's like, yeah.
You don't want to conform to commercialism and just kind of follow the money. You want to be you.
Well, because I'm just like, is the money going to help me write better jokes? Not in a pious, ideally not in a pious way. Saying this is obviously extremely like privileged. Being like, oh yeah, dude, I don't want to have to worry about money. But ideally, if I had to pick, I wouldn't worry about money.
Correct.
And I would just be like, how do I write the best joke?
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I would like to only be known for commercial reasons. But I don't really need to be known for any other reason besides for commercial reasons.
In high school, I was voted, most likely to walk the red carpet. Yeah. And this was down in.
I mean, were you like a theater kid already? What are we at, by the way?
42 minutes.
Oh, okay. We got plenty.
Yeah.
Winding down, you made me uncomfortable, dude. You're just getting into the thick of it.
So high school, I wish I would have done drama all 4 years. I only did it in my senior year of high school. I wish I would have done. I was hanging around with.
But you've always had dreams
people.
for the stars.
I mean, ever since insecurity hit me as a young child, to where I had to use my comedy and my charisma to get out of situations, I was like, how do I make this something that
you liked it enough where you were like, I want to turn this into a career?
No, I was damaged enough to where.
I mean, I feel like if you're like, this is how I cope, and it's like how I deal with trauma, and I would like to monetize it. You know, it's like, whoa.
Because I don't see myself changing.
I guess it's like, well, if I got to go through it anyway,
I would go to counseling many times when I've been in counseling, and like they would say something, we'd talk about something, then I would make a little smirk over a joke, and then she would immediately call me out. I'm like, there's your insecurity coming out.
Sure, yeah, dude. I mean,
and I'm like,
I'm all
what do you want me to do? This is... I like to diffuse things, and there's only times whenever I don't really want to get the thick of stuff unless
being too serious for too long, like when nobody cracking a joke makes me uncomfortable. But it's like
funerals are a good example.
Sure,
there should be a good balance of course, everybody's sad and crying.
Okay.
And then every once in a while, you get a weird uncle, weird grandson, weird whatever that gets up there. He's crying too, but then he pops out a joke that like, whatever. Then I walked it on her naked. That was weird. Whatever.
Sure.
And you're like,
there's also a different kind of funeral.
And then people laugh. That's true.
If it's like a lady that like
and then it gets a laugh, and then people start remembering, like, oh man, that's right. There was some weird stuff with her. And here's my fun times, like. But there was comedy is involved even in a dark, somewhat or more of a dramatic time. You know.
Sure.
I think I don't know. I don't see. There are places to not be like. I think there are times like times or spots in time where you don't want to do something comedic and be respectful.
Yeah.
But not too far from there is a good comedic timing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like
sometimes, like that is when you're not supposed to tell the joke. Is like
right.
when you're really supposed to tell the joke. And I joke like often, like sometimes I tell jokes that are like not in my own best interest. You know, it's like, but I gotta tell this joke, dude. You know how funny this would be? Like I don't care if I gotta have to like dig myself out of this hole a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, it's gonna be worth it. It's gonna be
you gotta have the right people around you,
for sure.
You know, like whatever. You're in like a business meeting at work or something like that, but you got one of your coworkers that you guys are always joking with each other. There's the boss doing something crazy, and then like a little whisper over it. That's not the right time.
Yeah.
But it's great for you two. It's building
it's
camaraderie.
Time. Yes.
Yeah. And I still talk to that guy to this day. You know. Yeah. Those things are important. So you see yourself possibly moving. You're gonna be gone.
Oh yeah, dude. I'm here for the next 12 months to do as many, spots as I possibly can and see if I'm any good at stand-up comedy. It seems like I have some ability to do it.
Yeah.
And I want to just try to get really good at it.
I would agree with that. Here's the thing I think that we miss here.
Okay.
And I think we do as best as we can living in Ocala.
Okay.
Oh, but we're close to Gainesville. Oh, and we're close to Orlando. And we're not that close to Orlando.
Sure.
It's maybe once or twice a week. We would maybe, and that's like we're pushing our cars, you go out to
dude,
LA.
I gotta be honest, dude, it's kind of surprised me recently. I don't want to cut you off here too much, as I absolutely do.
It feels good. Just cut off another Jew. It's fine.
I was yes.
German piece of trash.
Whoa. You don't know me.
I do.
I probably did some bad things back in the day. Former self, an older shade of myself. No, but I was running the numbers when I got to Florida, probably like a year ago now.
Yeah.
I was having a hard time like finding spots, but I was running the numbers. Like I'm doing comedy every single night this week, or at least I can do comedy every single night this week. Yeah.
What about last week?
Last week I could come close.
Yeah.
Last week, I mean, it's like, dude, podcast today. We could go to the Laugh Out Lounge tomorrow if you want to.
Right.
Vecino's.
Well, that's vice versa. Friday is going to be Laugh Out Lounge, and Thursday.
No, dude. Friday is the gimmick.
Oh, Friday's the gimmick.
Wednesday, Laugh Out Lounge, Winter Haven. Thursday, Vecino's, Gainesville. Friday, the gimmick in Tampa. Saturday, festival.
Yeah.
And then Sunday, Joke Joint has an open mic.
Does it? This Sunday?
I believe it's next Sunday. Maybe it's the following Sunday. I think it's this coming Sunday.
Actually, this Sunday, Tidal down in Spring Hill would be they do their things. I've been. That was that was my second. Yeah, they're pretty good. Okay. That's pretty good.
But dude, okay, so this is what I'm saying. I agree.
We
with you.
can do one night. Yes,
dude,
but
like
again,
Austin, New York, California.
But we're driving an hour.
Yes.
To an hour and 20 minutes until like
dude,
the
or more, bro. Like 2 hours. I've done straight flat 2 hours to Winter Haven.
Yeah, and so, but if you're talking about people that live in Austin, live in LA, live in New York, I think Seattle, wherever and there might be a
Denver,
few.
I think something like that.
Right, where people can hit like
Boston,
2 open mics a night.
Yes.
Dave Chappelle talks about going through the night and hitting I think like 10 or 11 in one night.
Yeah,
I mean, like we're talking about practice, man. We're talking about practice.
We're talking about practice.
Well, now we're talking about practice, and this is where it counts.
Yes,
this is where you have to put your reps in.
Yeah.
And I think some people, of course, have different abilities and whatever. I mean, you watch Kill Tony.
Sure, it's like what kind of talent are you?
Yeah, it's like there's some people there that have been doing it for 10 years. And how has been their 10 years? Is it 10 years consistently, or is it 10 years like they're going once a month?
Yeah.
Or is it 10 years and they're actually doing 5 mics a night?
Yeah.
Hopefully, if they're doing 5 mics a night and they're still that bad, buddy.
It's kind of like when do you hit your like 10,000 hours? You know, rather than like 10 years or whatever.
So as hard as we want to be working here, we could only work so hard. That's why I'm actually trying to open up another open mic here downtown. I have a friend of mine that he owns Symmetry Coffee.
Dang.
And they normally close at 3, but they're going to start opening I think mid-June. Opening till 10 because they're going to do beer and wine.
Yeah, I mean that's all part of it, dude. It's just kind of like if you can't find the opportunities, make the opportunities.
I'm just like, well, who do I know? Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So I think that's my next thing. You want to wrap up?
That's up to you.
Sure.
Yeah.
What else? You got anything else?
I don't know, dude. I could probably go for
another
4
4 more hours. Yeah.
I barely even know you yet, Brett. I've got stories. I'm sure you've got stories.
These are very accurate things. We could always do another one.
We can find a balanced-ish spot.
Right.
We'll find a balanced-ish solution.
I feel like I'm going to get an email from you tomorrow. Hey, I hear your title, Brett, but what about this, and this?
I'd actually also like you to not release that episode as well.
You like the what?
I'd like you to delete that episode that we recorded.
Right, yeah. And let's re-record it. I actually got equipment now, Brett. Yes. If you can, actually, I'm about booked out about 6 months.
No, dude, we'll figure it out.
No, it'll be good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
I would love to be a returning guest if you
that would be fun. That would be fun. I'll check my subscribers, how many I have.
Dude,
we're like, you're returning guest to
booked
50.
Up, yeah, if you got booked, you're probably booked up though, right?
I mean,
you got James Franco coming in next week, right?
Let me let you know. All right,
James Franco coming in next week.
It might be his brother. I think it's his brother.
Dave?
Yeah, Dave.
I kind of like Dave more.
Well, Dave has the hot wife from Community, Bree, not Bree. The girl next door. No, the brown haired one. Bree was the blonde chick.
I thought her name was like Britta.
Anna.
I thought her name was Britta.
That's Britta. And then Anna? Doesn't matter. Now we're talking about Community. This isn't a Community podcast. But I think she's just really pretty.
Okay, good.
So
good, man.
It's like good for him.
Covet his wife. Sure, man.
No, I'm good. Sure. I'm good, except when you go to all my dating profiles, all the girls that I like, they all look exactly like her.
Gosh,
she let me wear her skin.
Dude, now you're making me nervous. Now you're making me uncomfortable.
It's not that big of a deal. I know exactly where she lives. It's fine. I got my webcam. I can go watch her whenever.
Brie.
Allison, that's what it was.
Brie. I was like, why are you talking about Brie? I thought you were talking about cheese. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
This was really good. And you know what? We're just going to end this awkward and, check out.
It doesn't have to be awkward.
I'll open.
Hey,
I'll
send out. If this reaches a human being that listens to this at some point,
hold on. Don't say anything with certain time limits because I'm not going to get this done by this weekend.
Oh my god!
What do you think? What do you think? I'm just.
How complicated?
I have a production studio. I'm getting my kids.
This was going to take you maybe I don't know. I didn't realize you were going to.
It's going to at least take me 51 minutes.
To do what? You're going to listen to it first? I thought you were just going to cut off the first 10 minutes and find a good starting point where we. I don't know.
Yeah,
and then
this is how editing works.
Start it. Right?
To be honest with you, I actually
theme song in?
I jumped to conclude because I used to do this with 3 cameras.
Really?
Yeah, but the other cameras, they only could record for 30 minutes, so I had to stop it and I created an edit point, blah, 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 blah. Then you had to worry about the batteries and blah, blah, blah.
It was a mess.
And so I just did this with just this one. I actually literally could just cut this and probably be done in about 5 minutes and get this rendering and going.
Hilarious.
So
No
thanks for
rush.
calling me out on that.
No rush.
But-
I don't want to make you feel bad.
This Saturday, there's some stuff going down downtown Ocala. There's a
Downtown
comedy
Ocala Comedy
festival.
Live.
June 1st. I'll just say the date. June 1st.
Of 2024.
Do you ever post anything online? No. Any of your bits? Do you have a rule against that? You thought about it?
I haven't had the opportunity. I mean, I don't really film a lot of my bits.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, dude. I just like posting clips or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm an amateur.
I mean, I just did it with my phone once. I did it with my main camera another time.
You had great success. You went viral.
Over
on
2,000
TikTok.
people.
That's pretty good.
I mean, I was surprised. I was
That's
like, I'm going to
pretty good.
do this just so I do something.
Just
and I was
see what happens.
Yeah, so I put it
See
on
what kind of
TikTok,
ripple in the
Instagram, and
pond.
Facebook.
All right.
Both of them were different. The first video I put up, I got like 1,500 views on TikTok, and and then a couple hundred from the other two. Then it was like vice versa. I got, I think, 1,800 views on Facebook with the other one, and like 500-600 on the 1,800 I think on Facebook, 500 or 600 on Instagram, a couple hundred on TikTok.
All right.
But that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's not nothing.
Not nothing.
So I was surprised, and so I try and keep it like as like
foundational.
a joke. Like
Yes.
here's
You kinda have to
a
do, like, just one.
30 seconds,
Yes,
maybe a minute.
45
Yeah. And actually, I try and do like the most compressed stuff. But I know Matt Rife, he doesn't put his bits online. He puts his crowd work online. Because crowd work can't be repetitive.
Burning material, yeah.
Right, you don't want to burn the material.
It's obviously the
Right.
question.
I don't...
Have you heard of
Okay.
this dude, Josh Johnson? There's this guy, Josh Johnson, who is now working for The Daily Show.
Okay.
Over the past year, he's put out 10 hours of filmed material on YouTube. He would post like a 15-minute long set once a week of good, well-written material.
That's good.
It's insanity, dude.
Is he
how
making...
Are you writing that much? I mean, apparently he had been he's stocked up quite a bit of writing.
Sure.
But still, just the production speed. It's all very topical, or a lot of it's topical.
Yeah. I'm
like,
impressed
start
with the
out-
guy that get up on Kill Tony, and they every week they do a
every
minute.
week, 5 minutes or a
Have
minute or
you
whatever.
thought about your minute for Kill Tony? Here's the minute I would do.
I had when I first started, I was like, oh, here's my best joke.
Yeah.
Now
And it was
it's
under a
kinda-
minute?
I guess I would get. Yeah, I guess it was this is the if I ever.
Yeah.
But then it's dude, I'm never gonna go on Kill Tony. So it's I was like,
Why
I'd rather
not?
just focus on 5 minutes.
I'm thinking I'm trying to maybe over the summer. I don't know. I keep thinking if I get enough work in to where I can actually get a good chunk of change to take the trip to try and you gotta at least go for maybe at least 3 weeks. So you
Yeah.
hit at least 3 Mondays.
I mean, even that it's one
but
in
still,
1,000, I don't know.
but also there's
could happen,
but there's
dude.
also
It could
tons of open mics too.
Yeah, dude, I've actually heard people coming back from. Have you heard any of the Florida comedians that have done trips to Austin and come back?
Okay.
They all whine about the freaking Austin open mic scene right now, just
It's
because of
bad?
the whole comedy boom. Yeah, just because the whole comedy boom that's happened.
It's what,
with
30
Joe
people
Rogan.
or something like this?
Well, it's they got every kind of complaint you could imagine. The mics are crazy, not very well run. That's pretty pedantic, I guess, or whatever. But it's
Can you
dude,
get on
apparently
stage?
Apparently, people are walking rooms. They're that's the goal. Is almost extreme absurdism comedy, where it's let me just say, not even Bill Hicks' class, but it's just Bill Hicks' gravitas and gruesomeness. I don't know, dude. This is just what I've heard. I'm spreading rumors. I'm literally spreading rumors.
So
currently.
what's the problem? There's too many people. There's too many comics.
There's kind of a culture of how do I stand out? Be grotesque.
Oh, well, that's always been the thing. To
But I
stand
think
out.
I think it gets worse. I think it kind of goes in waves, especially with
Yeah.
popularity, where it's
Yeah.
oh, I want to get on stage. Do I have the ability? Do I want to go take the time to write a well-crafted joke, or do I
Yeah.
just want to say drinks come 10
Drink-
times?
Drinks come.
You know,
Never seen a beer masturbate? Drinks come.
Yeah, just something dumb like that, where it's I can
So stupid.
if you just figure out a way to say the word drinks come in your bit, it's probably gonna do fine. It's
Yeah.
okay, or autistic, whatever.
Right. Very edgy. So I did Joke Joint a few months ago.
Okay.
With the comedy place here in Summerfield.
We finished 10 minutes ago as well.
It's fine. No, we brought it back.
Edit out the
And so
ending
I
and
have
put it
friends
at
of
the
mine
end.
that are
Edit out the
Southern
ending and put
Baptists.
it at the end, all right. Okay, yeah, sure.
They're Southern Baptist, right? And they're like, I'm like, hey, come out to. They want to support. Cool. They come out to the show.
Okay.
And I'm
Was
like,
this when your parents were there?
This is when my parents were. You there?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had tons of people. I had
Yes,
my
you did.
parents were there. I
Yeah.
had a few brothers. I had a few friends, and I had 2 other groups of friends. Like I was like, oh, there's a lot of people that showed
you
up.
were a bringer. You were
Yeah,
a bringer that day, yes.
yeah. And so, but I went to my friends that are Southern Baptist, and I haven't gone up yet. And I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 people are there. And I just asked them, like, hey, so how do you like it? And the husband is cracking up. He's like, this is great,
Sure. Dude, I might have performed at that point. I don't
you might have already done. I can't remember. But then his wife was like, yeah, it's funny. I just feel gross.
Yeah.
I just feel really gross. And I'm like,
dude,
sorry?
they might have never heard anybody speak like that in their entire
no,
lives.
that's not true. No, they have. They have.
Dude, okay, see, like this kind of shocks me.
She was a Disney princess.
I mean, like Southern Baptist.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
it could
but
happen.
That's
how my parents
they've been
were, bro.
exposed.
I don't know. All right.
They've been exposed.
All right.
You're surprised they went back and chose that? What are you talking about?
I don't know.
Yeah. No, but then I told her, I was like, listen, I'm not as gross. Sure. I don't. My stuff is relatively clean.
Sure.
I have like a couple punchlines with like a few curse words, but it's strategic.
Okay.
It's not just my language. And then afterwards, she was like, "Oh, that was great," or whatever. But yeah. So I understanding the idea of that.
A funny story then?
Yes, I do want to hear a funny story.
I actually had a set this past Saturday at the Joke Joint.
Okay.
Because I'm kind of like becoming a little bit friendlier with Alex. So.
Yeah.
He's let me host that one night.
That was really cool.
I step in. I have some freedom to like step in and help him out when he needs it. So it's given me some opportunities in there. I was the first comedian to go up. Okay, I have some philosophies about comedy, and one of them is there's a Venn diagram that exists of jokes people want to hear and jokes I want to tell them.
Okay.
And it overlaps sometimes, but it doesn't always overlap as much as I would like it to.
Right.
And so, like, what I talk about is, like, it's kind of a criticism of some comedians, but, like, Matt Rife in particular, I would consider a very commercial comedian. His stuff does very well commercially, like, literally. It's like almost a compliment. I mean, it's kind of a compliment.
It's a little bit of both. It's his material. Me personally, I think. I mean, I know there was the one joke that he got in big trouble.
Sure.
That was low hanging. That was low hanging fruit.
At that point.
I think.
But I'm just saying, like,
I don't. I think his. I think you. This is a good like lesson. What are my strengths, and amplify that. The dude should just come with no script and just do crowd work, and
potentially
he is amazing.
Sure,
his material is okay, but also he has a goal of like, hey, I want to be respected as a comic amongst my peers.
Dude, okay, but that's the thing. Is like
okay.
The jokes you want to say is also like the jokes other comedians would want you to say, like jokes that are like, I don't know,
right?
What you think of as like stand up, essentially. Like you're not doing like pandering jokes. You're not doing like very easy laughs. Like there are dudes who say jokes that crowds want to hear.
Yeah.
And the comedians in the back are the whole time like, oh, and you're not going to be respected by your peers.
Right.
And for a lot of people, that is like Matt Rife or like, I don't know.
Everybody, it's like, like COVID. COVID did that, right? So everybody had their COVID jokes.
Yes.
What's your COVID joke?
It's like it got very easy, kind of hacky. Like hacky dudes are.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I came into the Joke Joint overconfident. One of my biggest issues is sometimes I fall prey to overconfidence.
I'm not going to say I read that about you, but it's funny.
Yeah.
I'm like, is that a bit or is that for real? I can't tell.
I had 2 jokes that I had like ran by a couple of my brother and one of my buddies.
Right.
And they were like, wow, those are like good. I like those, which is not always what they say. It's like, and I was like, oh, dang, I have something here. I have 2 good jokes. Granted, they were not commercial material. It was just not, the subject matter was not very...
What's the subject?
It was literally like, I made like a pedophile joke, and then immediately afterwards I was going to make an abortion joke. and so I start the show off by doing a little bit of like intro stuff. I'm like making fun of Alex and the joke.
You're just warming up the crowd.
And then
prepare for this, guys.
Dude, I'm the first. It's like Alex does his stuff, and it's always like, he always does like the fuck that and all that. So like in my mind, the room is warmed up. The room is uncorked.
Yeah.
But apparently Alex did not believe that it was fully uncorked. I was supposed to do 10 minutes. He gave me the light at 5 because I went straight up pedophile abortion. And he was like, bro, And dude, Okay, I honestly believe I am, and I was in the wrong to quite a bit because I came in and I did jokes that I wanted to tell and not jokes these people wanted to hear. And Alex wanted me to, dude, he's trying to make money at the end of the day. Like,
Yeah.
you know, he would love for me to be able to go up there and tell those jokes, but he was like, bro, if the ladies in the front like had gotten up and left before like any of the comedians had gotten to go, that would have been bad. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I guess
so
you don't really have
there's
the
some
liberty.
awareness there.
Because there is like 12 people in the room, 15 people in the room.
I mean, do you
know?
think the joke's funny?
Here's the issue. Both of the jokes are good. I love them. I've gotten positive feedback, and obviously I'm overconfident.
Yeah.
But it's like, yes, I really do think that's the harder part is that if they were crappy jokes, I would just be like, oh, his criticisms are perfectly warranted.
Yeah.
But I was like,
these are funny.
Jokes.
Just only some people laugh at this.
Yeah,
it's
like,
only for and that's a thing.
But he was also telling me, he was like, maybe if I had just put you later in the show, you would have been able to do it fine.
Yeah.
Like that's what I was joking with my wife like going up last night. I was like, hopefully I can go up after Darren. You know, he said Darren usually uncorks everyone pretty well.
But the secret show Monday night, that is like get up and just filibuster, dude. Yes. Like and that's what I was
you
like,
can say whatever you want. Like you can. The subject matter is not. You know, there aren't like old women in there who are paying money to be there. You know,
they're getting drinks, difference. And you just so happen to be talking at a microphone. Yeah.
So like, and then there's no issue like, oh, would we come back here for this?
Right.
Like the people that heard my set that night probably. They would not be like, I would come back to see that guy.
I don't know.
They didn't have that impression.
Hold on. Those ladies last night were crazy. They
at the mutiny.
Yeah,
pardon me. I'm talking about the joke joint.
Oh, you're talking about joke joint.
The ladies that I had at the joke joint, rather.
Yeah.
I don't know if my set at the joke joint would have been motivating to bring these women back. Is what
oh,
I'm saying.
Right.
And so, like, from a commercial perspective, I'm like, those were not commercial jokes.
Yeah.
So
I do need to clear up the idea. I just introduced the ladies from last night. They were obviously highly intoxicated, these three girls.
Sure.
And I didn't know. It kept going back and forth because they were screaming out. And then they were talking loud, and then they would scream.
I thought it was appropriate. It wouldn't be appropriate at a normal show. But last night I thought it was fine.
I think it played that line. Yeah. I think at one I think
she could have any comedian could have gotten up there and been like, "Shut up."
Right. I was waiting for that to happen. I was waiting for that to happen. Yeah. But it didn't happen because I feel like anybody that was up there. If it got too rowdy, like we could just call it out if we want to. Like, hey, shut your mouths at the bar. Listen. But it worked out pretty well. Afterwards, the girl was like, you were very respectful in the idea, like, hey, listen, I'm married. Get off me.
Oh, I didn't even know about any of this.
She was very into you.
What?
She just thought you were very attractive.
Well, that happens.
It's good.
But
take it as a compliment.
Okay, to be totally honest, this is the first I'm hearing of this. Because I had heard Forrest said something to me about like, I found out you were married, but I was trying to hook you up with these chicks.
Right,
or something.
Yes.
So like, I didn't even realize there was any. I thought he was just trying to like throw me a bone. I didn't realize that she had initiated or something like that. This is frankly the first I'm hearing about this.
Right.
Yeah.
They were also into me too.
I think they were just into dudes.
Yeah, they like the ween. Yeah, big into the peen.
Dudes, yeah. Sometimes when you're into dudes, it's like overpowering. And
right.
Do,
Yeah, which is really weird. Like, it doesn't look good down there. I don't know why you guys like that, but whatever.
Well, dude, I honestly make fun of people that are into dudes. I'm like, dude, do you know how gross dudes are? Like, I look at my wife and I'm like, you're so lame.
This is different between being. This is different than being anti-gay.
No, I'm not anti-gay.
Right, but you're just like, how dare you be into dudes?
I'd rather be gay. I think it would be. There's a lot of benefits, I think, to being gay. A lot of pros, a lot of cons. Don't get me wrong. A lot of cons.
Right, like a wiener in the butt.
Well, if you're into that, I mean, I don't know.
Are you not gay unless you do that? Is that not the initiation?
I thought we talked about this when we were on the course, bro. I think gay sex doesn't make you gay.
Gay sex does make you gay.
We don't need to get into it.
Why is it labeled gay sex?
We don't have time. That's just because that's their only option, bro. I'm just telling you that they're...
Who's they?
Homosexual men.
Right.
Are just... It's not because they're like... It's just they're into dudes.
Just to clarify, we are not the right people to talk about this. This is just a joke. Keep going. No, it's not. This is really his opinion.
This is 100. I'm completely.
You're spot on. Well, no bits. Absolutely no bits. This is real.
I haven't even approached a bit. Actually,
I'm getting this etched. My opinion is getting etched on my gravestone.
I don't even know if we can take it that far, but I'm just saying.
Are we in or not? What are we doing?
I am in, and I am honestly saying that it's just like there's nothing intrinsically gay about butt sex. Like there couldn't be. It couldn't be. It's just because that's the only option. Like there's nothing intrinsically gay about oral sex because it's not their only option. And it's like even if you were like
being
doing
attracted to men.
we're getting really obviously being attracted to men is
Or
gay.
being a
That
guy,
is-
vice versa. A girl being
But,
attracted to a girl, a guy being attracted to a guy.
Sure,
Right.
sure.
And then all the other sexualities.
We're talking about homosexual.
We're talking about homosexuality.
That's the only thing I want to focus
That's
on.
all. I'm not
interested
into
in
robots. I'm
anything
not
else.
pansexual.
Well, I don't even want to talk about it. It's too complicated.
Right.
I want to get this first one down. I tried to write a joke about like this chick starting at a job and she like introduced her pronouns. And I wanted to be like, pronouns? I'm barely working on amateur nouns. I'll call you buddy. You know, like I wanted to...
That's pretty funny.
I'm working on like your name as your noun, and then I'll give you one amateur noun I'm willing to use on you, like friend or pal. You know, pick your amateur noun.
That's pretty good.
But I'm not doing zers. That is like a noun that was like first round draft pick.
I don't know what Zur is.
Well, there's these neo pronouns, is what they're I think officially defined as.
Okay.
So it's just neo pronoun, just meaning new pronoun, and they're just kind of like.
Wait, that's what
pronouns.
neo means? Is new?
Dude, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to offend you.
No, I like.
Oh, that's
I like.
literally what the word neo means.
That's from the Matrix. He's the new guy. He's the new savior.
Yeah,
Is that
it's like a Latin root
word for
word or
neo?
whatever, yeah.
I like learning,
Okay.
dude. Thank you.
I thought that you were.
That's
like,
not offending
I didn't mean
me.
to offend. Yeah,
No,
I was
no,
like,
I like learning. I didn't
mean
know.
to define that if that wasn't
I
needed.
don't read the whole freaking
Anyway,
dictionary. I like learning as
you
I
should
go.
sometime.
I won't remember it.
You should sometime. Anyway.
Is it on Audible?
What I'm saying is it's these pronouns that were defined, like came out in like 2016 or something like
Right.
that. I just looked this up because I was trying to write this joke.
Uh-huh.
And they're just like pronouns that more aptly describe somebody's either like intersex or whatever their gender identity is, or, they just don't feel like he, she, perfectly
Asexual.
encapsulates. Sure, it could be asexual, but it's really just like a preference. It's like, what are you comfortable with? Whatever you want. And they are defined from like, there are other cultures who have like other pronouns that are kind of like Zur is defined from something, but that
German.
is like maybe, I don't know.
Sounds German.
It does sound German.
It's an
But there's
is it
also,
an
like,
asexual German?
I don't know. I don't speak German, dude. I don't speak a little bit of Spanish. I don't.
I'm just waiting for you to be like, that's the dumbest shit I've ever heard.
But no, dude. Okay.
You're yes-anding well. That's good.
Thank you. I'm just saying that I want to work on amateur pronouns.
Okay.
first. I don't know. It's not a very good joke, but I like it, so it's like I don't know how to feel.
It's
about
kind of
it.
I think there's a difference between like
silly.
the bangers and then there's stuff you throw in the middle
Dude,
that's like this
that's
is just
fun. I'm like,
this
I'm
is
here
just
to
a
have
fun
fun.
thing
This is
like
a fun
and
joke.
like it lightens up
That's
the
how
crowd.
I feel about the like give it up for one more time if you're polite. Like that's just kind of fun.
Yeah,
Let's be
right,
silly. I'm
right.
not taking this serious. Sometimes we take our art
Right.
seriously when it comes to comedy. But
Right.
sometimes we need to
I
not.
think there's a few jokes you do need to take seriously. Your ending joke, what's roughly the formula is like you want to start with either your second best joke or your best joke, and you want to end with your second best joke or your best joke, right? So there's so those hopefully you want to get those down, and that's kind of your thing. But everything in the middle, hopefully other people relate. Then you're kind of creating the good vibe. You're trying to make sure people are enjoying themselves, or whatever that is like for your set. But relaxed and like just easy jokes or easy just vibes is not a bad thing. I think that's Ron White's thing. Ron White and Dave Chappelle.
I've always heard Ron White says go slower. It doesn't matter how fast you're going.
That was
go
it's
slower.
one of his things. If you're doing bad, go slow down. If you're doing good, slow down. But Dave Chappelle and Ron White, both of them, whenever you listen to them, you're like, oh, these guys must obviously hit the formula of a joke of a laugh every 20 seconds at least, so they're getting 3 laughs a minute. They don't.
Yeah.
It's 3 or 4 minutes setting up.
These guys are also like masters who have 2 decades under their belt. Like,
Right.
I don't know, man.
But here's what it is. Here's
like,
one of the
we
things
are-
that I thought about. Here's my theory.
Okay.
You want to hang out with those guys. They have the personality of like, oh, Dave Chappelle's just chilling with a drink and a cigarette. You're like, oh, we feel like this is a dialogue, even though it's not.
Yeah.
And he's just chilling, just telling us stories. And then when punchlines come, that's my best friend talking up there. Hell yeah. You know, same kind of thing with Ron White. Like freaking tater salad. That joke is like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
That's the punchline. There's a few other little things afterwards, or tater tot, you know, and there's a few other punchlines afterwards, but like the joke is like 8 minutes long. Yeah, or whatever. That's not a...
Sure.
But it's a pretty decent length to where when I'm getting here and I'm setting things up, I'm like trying to think like, all right, how many jokes am I getting a minute? Like, or if I'm taking a minute to set up a joke, that better be better be, you know, a banger. Or are people just enjoying my presence? And that's a thing too. Don't let that just play into everything.
Some freak who's on stage.
Yeah.
Like, there's a guy who actually had the huevos to get on stage. Like, what is he doing? It's like that's kind of a peculiar in and of itself.
Yeah, you're talking about me, aren't you?
Especially you. Especially when that's what you embody when I see you on stage.
You're like,
it's like, wow, that's peculiar. Should he be up there?
He keeps showing up to places, and it's bad. It's not good.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know how he sleeps.
Yeah, dude.
I don't know, man. I surprisingly, ever since the divorce, I've been getting sleep, like really good sleep. Yeah.
I wonder what that says about everything. All right.
Anyways,
get out of here.
All right. Hey, this was fun.
Yes.
And
we can absolutely make this.
Hopefully, this was recording.
See what happens. Peace.
Bye.